Thank you very much. Assemblymember Fletcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple questions, but I'll just do one and then make sure other members of the committee have an opportunity. Can you explain, just so I understand on the facilities maintenance side, how it works? It's my understanding you hire a company that is then responsible for the maintenance. Is it regional? Do you have one for Southern California, one for Northern California? And before you answer that, I just want to say I've been and toured a number of the courthouses in San Diego, and they are in desperate need of renovation and upgrading. So I don't think there's any dispute that you need to do renovation and upgrade. Sure. I think similar to the computer system, while we may be supportive of the effort, I think we have an obligation to ensure it's being done properly. So how does it work with the various vendors? Who are they for, and how does that break out geographically?
Okay. I'm going to have Mr. Willoughby walk through that, and I just want to stress again, Assemblymember Fletcher, we do not have any difference here in terms about what we learn. What we attempted to do is recognize that when this act was passed, we had no staff in facilities at all, except for somebody who made plans about how you organize furniture in an office. So we tried to find interim ways. This was when we visited with General Services. They discussed this approach with us when we talked to the federal government representatives who described it as a best practice in providing services. And so we tried to learn what we could from everyone else in the process and the contract. So we're not defensive at all about these issues. There are legitimate questions. Our goal is to learn everything we can from our first year of experience in this process.
Sure.
So yes, we have 3 service providers statewide. You're in San Diego. That would have been Jacobs. Jacobs also does the Bay Area, Northern California, and Aleut Services, one of the largest Native American companies, does the basically the northern central region.
And so those 3 do the maintenance. So when there's an issue, they come out to the facility and do the repair and then bill you for that repair?
That's right. First, though, some order is called in, whether it's too hot, too cold. It comes into a call center. We think a very efficient one, because these facilities are spread out, all throughout California, 500 of them. So they come in, we evaluate what needs to be done, and then instruct the service provider to go correct the problem.
And is there a contractual basis whereby problems have a scale that you're going to pay for, or is it based on when they get there? And how does that work in terms of what you pay?
That's a good question. They, for the very small projects, we authorize, say, up to $500. They go out there and get the work done. But then they still submit the actual cost of that, and we do evaluate. We evaluate everyone that comes in. So if something doesn't look reasonable, we go and investigate that.
Sure. So just having with the list here of some of the expenses, there's one here where it says the scope of work is to replace 5 smoke detectors that are not operating due to normal wear and tear. And it says the current cost estimate is $2,617.
Right.
And so I'm wondering if you could walk through for me how that breaks down for smoke detectors.
On a specific one, I'd be happy to go find that exact one. Okay. But let me say what some of these look unusual. I agree with you. Like they look unusual. Right. When I go do my smoke detector in my house.
Detector, yeah, it costs I mean, $12 for a really nice one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and there's one for a little bit cheaper. So you wonder how for 5 of them you get to $2,600.
No, believe me, I understand the question. And,
sure.
But a lot depends on where these are. Is this smoke detector in an atrium that's 2 stories high? So maybe you have to get a man lift in there.
Or a ladder.
Yeah, certainly a ladder. Some of these, if they're like hardwired, it takes more than a laborer to go up there and install the smoke detector.
One of the issues that we've had in this is that we have a limited number of characters that we have to be able to enter into the system to describe what the concern is.
So your spreadsheet's not big enough.
Well, so the system,
right.
We'll get a call.
Where you put it in?
We'll get a call from a court, and they'll say the light bulb's out. And that's the job. That's what the symptom is that we send.
There's one of those that says $1,500.
Yeah, so we send folks out to see what is with the light bulb. what we get back in terms of the scope of work oftentimes is much more than a light bulb. It may be the ballast, it may be the wiring, it may be other issues in the facility, and the light bulb being out is a symptom. It's not the job.
I understand that.
Okay.
So, but just so for an example, on the smoke detector one, you get the request, you make an estimate of what it should cost, and you dispatch the person, they go do the work, and then they submit an invoice, and then you approve or don't approve. Is that how it works? You approve or don't approve it?
That is correct.
Okay.
So we'll look at it for reasonableness. Did it take 10 hours to go do that, or should it have taken 1 hour? So we do evaluate them for reasonableness.
So like on the smoke detector, the cost estimate was $2,617. The actual cost was $2,166. So you have an invoice for $2,166 that explains how the 5 smoke detectors installation came to that cost?
Yes.
And is that available publicly?
Yeah.
Or is it available to me?
We can certainly get that for you. If you tell us,
Okay.
if you tell us any of these that you have questions on,
Sure.
And again, realize as Mr. Vickery said, there's 100,000 of these out there.
Right, I understand. I understand. I think that and then I'm done, Mr. Chair. I think that there's an importance to rigorous oversight. I think there's a great importance to transparency, and I think there's a great importance to when people know that these things are being looked at. It's a greater appreciation for how the dollars are being spent, and I think, as was stated earlier, I mean, a lot of us who are on this committee are making really difficult decisions each day on cutting vital services to people. Right. We're cutting education for kids. We're cutting public safety. We're cutting health care, things that people decide on. And so I just think we have an obligation to just ask the question when we see $2,000 for smoke detectors, why? Why did it cost that much? Why did we pay that much? Is there a better way to do it? And how can we go about making it work better? And so I won't go through the whole list because there's a number of them that on the surface just don't seem to make sense. Gum removal, light bulbs, and so I think I would certainly be interested to see the smoke detector.
Okay,
one. If you
be
could
happy
put
to
that for me.
provide that.
That would make me happy.
By the way, one thing that Mr. Vickery said was a lot of buildings, a lot of public buildings, probably this one included, you basically get charged a lump sum amount per month. You pay rent. And you don't have these smaller items in there. And that's where originally we had wanted to be more transparent.
Right.
In fact, really to have a better ability to control the cost. So by doing that, it does raise questions, but it raises questions for us too. So we look at these and we're always trying to find a better way to control these costs.
And then final thing, and I promise I'm done. The changes you're making through maintenance, these are functional changes, not aesthetic changes. So at what point do you make a determination, hey, like smoke detectors, I think we would all agree a courthouse has to have smoke detectors. So that's a change you have to make. Right. If you're, say, repainting something so that it looks nicer, how do you make a determination in that sense?
Well, these are we have a priority rating system for these, and painting. I understand painting is appearance, but some of these facilities had not been painted for so many years, and I don't know. Some of these could have had, lead paint on the wall or peeling paint, and so there's some of those. I think the great majority of these are more functional items.
Okay.